good to see everybody. It is 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, a chilly evening. I don't know what happened to spring, but it's a little cold outside tonight. But that's okay because I am warm sitting here in my studio, and I am so excited about tonight's show because in just a few minutes we're going to be introducing my very, very special guest, and I am ridiculously excited about it. Ever since I found out that I had a connection to Wally, I've just been dying to get him on the show. But of course, y'all know I've got a little stuff to do. We're going to do the little housekeeping, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to jump into to our very special guest with a very special tour coming up. So I hope everybody bought their tickets and have your little buddy to hold your hand because you don't want anybody to get lost on this tour. But before we do that, I just wanted to say a couple things real quick. I have started rewatching Law & Order SVU from the beginning. It is streaming on Hulu from the very beginning. And I thought, you know what? I'm not sure I've seen every single episode. Hey, Dave! So I decided to jump in and watch. And Michelle Hurd really has not changed between her Law & Order SVU days and her Picard days. But what I can tell you is if you are looking for another strong Michelle Hurd performance, she's a little backgroundish in the first season, but when they move into the second season, she steps up. She's partnered with John Munch, and she is absolutely fantastic. And so I highly recommend, if you've never watched it, or go back and watch it, because I love just watching old episodes, watching people with flip phones, because smartphones really hadn't been invented yet. So the other thing that I just discovered today, there's this great show called Broadmire. It is a show. It is on Netflix. It was created by Hank Azaria. Hank Azaria developed this character who's a sportscaster who gets disgraced, and it's kind of like his coming back, but it's a comedy. It's really good. I am binge watching it because I've been meaning to watch it for forever. I finally started watching it. Then I found out the other day on Netflix it's going away on June 2nd. So I'm like, all right, well, we're going to binge this. Tawny Newsome is joins the cast in season 3. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to watch Tawny do like an entire season of a show as herself instead of just one little episode of Lower Decks. So if you like Hank Azaria, which I love Hank Azaria, and this is a really great show, hop over to Netflix before June 2nd. It's only 4 seasons. They're 20-minute episodes. It's a really easy watch if you're looking for something new to binge. I highly recommend it. And okay, so just a couple more things, and then we're gonna jump in with Wally. I have decided, because my surgery is the day after tomorrow, and I have no idea how it's gonna go. I have no idea how I'm gonna feel by next week. Like I said, I know for a fact I'm not gonna be able to do the office setup. I'm definitely not gonna be able to manage getting into my office in the cast that I'm gonna be in. This, I have decided officially, is going to be the season finale. So I am so excited too, because we're going to end on such an amazing high note. So I'm really excited. But welcome to the season finale, guys. I'm so glad that you're all here to share it with me. So that's that. And in honor, then the one last thing, in honor of my very special guest, I was straightening up the house because, like I said, I'm going to be on crutches and all that stuff. And I found a box from Amazon that I hadn't opened. And I'm like, what is this? Like cleaning supplies. Would you believe it is the hard copy edition of the comic book Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. Literally completely forgot I ordered this, and it's just perfect timing for tonight's guest, and you're going to see why. I also finally remembered to bring up this. It's my little ornament that I spent $3 on a couple weeks ago at Hallmark. Again, in honor of our very special guest, it is a Batman 66 Hallmark ornament. And now you're going to find out why 2 Batman things in my teeny tiny collection, minuscule compared to this guy. We're all about to find out why Batman 66 is so important. As I introduce us all to Wally Wingert. You're up. Who is...
I'll have to call you back later. I heard somebody mention something about a flip phone earlier. I think, I'll call you back. All right. Yes, I still do have a flip phone. It's I actually like being off the grid and Flip phones just make calls, take an occasional picture, do text, but it doesn't land spaceships, walk dogs, wipe my butt. It doesn't do any of that stuff. It's just a phone, and I like it, and I'm going to keep it. How are you?
I'm great, Wally. How are you?
Pretty darn good for an old fella. Just had a birthday here recently, and I'm officially, I guess, an old man. I can get into the early bird specials now at Denny's, and I'm happy. So,
Well,
be that as it may, I'm still vertical, so I got that going for me.
which is good news for me because I've been really looking forward to doing this ever since you and I talked on the phone last year after we found out we had a mutual friend,
Right?
Emily, who
Yes.
has graciously agreed to be the woman behind the camera for tonight.
Yes. Thank you, Emily. Hello.
Emily, thank you, Emily. Hi, Roy. So we are live, and for those of you that may not recognize the face, you may kind of recognize the voice, especially if you watch Family Guy, because this man is such an accomplished voice artist. I went over your IMDb page today and was blown away.
Well, you know what IMDb stands for, right?
Tell us.
It's mostly damn bull. There's a lot of wrong stuff on there, so don't believe. You know, it's amazing that so many people in the industry who cast shows and producers, they look at that and they think it's gospel, but it's really, there's a lot of erroneous information on there, and getting it cleared off is virtually impossible. I have a headshot up there that they will not update. The
Oh my
headshot is
God.
the headshot is literally from 1992, I believe, and it's black and white, and it's like 3 or 4 hairstyles ago, and I can't find anybody to update that for me to a current headshot. It is what it is. I talked to a representative today. I said, "How do I get that changed?" She's like, "I don't know. I've been trying to get other stuff changed forever, and it just doesn't happen." So yeah, IMDb, it's mostly damn bull. So
IMDb is a pain in the ass. I have an IMDb page. I let my IMDb Pro account lapse because I don't have anything new to report. But yeah, I know what a pain in the ass it is to get anything changed. And that's the other thing. Just like Wikipedia, it's run by other humans,
right.
and and you can update somebody else's information. So yeah, it's not exactly to be believed, but I do know for a fact that you're definitely Family Guy because I see your name in
Right.
almost every episode.
Well, what's really funny is that uh, people will hear voices on cartoons and they'll say, "Oh, I know that's such and such and such and
Mhm.
such," and they update it on IMDb, and it's not them. It's just somebody who
Right.
happens to sound a lot like them. So
Yep.
I'm credited. I think it might be off now. I looked today and I didn't see it on there anymore. But I was credited with voicing this German cartoon called Gummy Bars, which is gummy bears. I was the only English voice actor on there. All the rest of the guys were German. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense that I would be on here. Why am I the only English? It doesn't make any sense. I think it's finally off there now because they realized it was erroneous. But yeah, I wouldn't put too much trust in the old IMDb. But whatever.
Yeah.
You're talking about your chilly weather today. It's about 85 here in Los Angeles. We're having a little heat spell, and it's a beautiful day. I have the air conditioning on because I have everything lit up. But I got my shorts on. I got my Creature from the Black
You
Lagoon jersey on. So we're all summer-fied out
got
here
your
in the.
bat hat.
Yes, exactly. In honor of the occasion, yes. So,
Absolutely.
welcome to Planet Wallywood. This is my crazy museum house. I always wanted to live in a museum ever since I was a kid, and I finally got my dream to come true after all these years of collecting stuff and hoarding nonsensical stuff that other people would find utterly bizarre, but I like. And
There you
I,
go.
I
So it's just you somehow legitimize the fact that you're a hoarder. You just call it a museum.
Well, I'm an orderly hoarder, and try and say that fast 10 times. An orderly hoarder, orderly hoarder, orderly hoarder. Um, it's a lot of stuff, but it's all put away very nicely. You were talking about streaming, right? Earlier, I heard you. And
Yep.
if you want to binge stuff, and you can stream this, and it's leaving the platform, blah blah blah, blah all that kind of stuff. All right. If Emily will step right over there, I don't believe in streaming. I am a hardcore physical media guy, and I'll show you why. You see this rather innocuous looking uh,
Hmm.
cabinet right here? It secretly houses 8 pull-out racks, which are filled with Blu-rays, DVDs. I have enough stuff to watch through any apocalypse.
Oh my God.
All this
That is
stuff,
amazing.
and there's another 4 drawers on the other side under that door. So yeah, and they're very heavy. But yeah, physical media all the way. If you'll turn around and point that way, you'll see that I still have my CD collection. A little to the right, Emily. Still have my CD collection. I still believe in uncompressed audio, streaming songs at 144K or whatever it is. That's just not for me because it's basically akin to listening to it on AM radio because so much information is pulled out of the songs. But CDs, uncompressed audio, which is great. And so I kept all my CDs. I didn't sell them off. It's really interesting that we started off in the music world with wax cylinders and then eventually went to vinyl records, stacks of wax, ladies and gentlemen, and wax cylinders to vinyl to then 8-track and then cassette and then CD, which was the pinnacle of sound, uncompressed audio. And then we started going back and now we're back to vinyl, and now we're streaming and we're doing MP3s, and the songs are all compressed and sound like crapola. So we're just kind of going backwards again. But I kept all my CDs, and I love my CDs. So
I do. I have my CDs. I do. My car still has a CD player in it.
So wow. I don't know. How old is your car?
It's a 2014.
Yeah. Okay. I have
right on the cusp. Right on the cusp. I mean, it has a USB. I can plug in an iPod, but it also has a CD player.
Yeah, I have a 2003 Mustang, which still has a 5 CD player in it, which is great. My 1974 Gran Torino has a CD player in it, but also an iPod, and I have an iPod connection in both the cars, the Mustang and the Gran Torino, plus the little mini plug. So in case you don't have the 10-pin Apple thing to plug in, you can still listen to it. But my RAV my daily driver is a RAV4. That just has Bluetooth, and there's nothing else.
Okay, first of all, Dave loves this room. Dave Gregory says, I love this room.
Thank you, Dave.
Secondly, I love how you just called it your Gran Torino. Could you be a little bit more specific about that Gran Torino?
If Emily would turn around about 180 degrees, you'll see a jacket up there with kind of a green. There it is right there. Oh, it's backwards.
Yeah.
You're looking at it backwards. That's interesting. I never knew that. So you're looking at me backwards?
Yeah, your shirt. Yep.
Wow. Why is it backwards?
Because I'm using the back camera and not a forward camera.
There's no way to flip that?
Not unless you want to hold this the whole time.
Oh, no, that's okay. People just know that the writing was all backwards.
Yep.
It's crazy. The green jacket that you see off to the left, which should be. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
You fixed it. That green jacket was David Soul's jacket from the 2004 Starsky and Hutch movie. I've been a Starsky and Hutch fan since I was about 15 years old, and I always wanted one of those Gran Torino cars with the white stripe on it, and I finally got one about 10 years ago. And boy, it's just the love of my life. And I was thinking about getting rid of it for a while because I just wasn't driving it that much. But last June, I met my grandchildren for the first time ever, and I said, "No, I'm gonna put in my will for them because I think that my grandson Elliot would probably really love to have that baby." So I'm hanging on to it, and I think my grandson Devin will probably get the Mustang. We'll find out when they come out here in 2 weeks. They're coming out for a visit with their mom and dad. That was their Christmas gift this year. So Elliot's 15, Devin will be 13 in about another week, and Natalie just turned 8. So. I think Natalie and Devin will probably have to fight over the Mustang, depending on which one likes it better when they get out here. But it should be a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun stuff.
Is it a V8?
It is. It's yes. It's one of the big ones. What do they call the Mustang? The what?
Is it a GT?
It is a GT. It's not marked as a GT. It's one of those 100-year of Ford commemorative editions where they only.
Oh, it's an anniversary. It's an anniversary edition.
It is. They only made like 1,300 of them, Each of the models that they were doing that particular year, 2003, they made 1,300 Tauruses, 1,300 Explorers, 1,300 Mustang hardtop, 1,300 Mustang ragtop. Well, whatever car they were doing at the time, they made 1,300 of them, all in original Ford black. And I just happened to buy it because it was really the only Mustang convertible they had on the lot at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll take this one, not knowing what I was getting. I got an absolute gem. It only has like 80,000 miles on it. And I baby it like crazy, and it's beautiful. But it does have the GT package, even though it is not marked with the GT package, but it has the commemorative, dual exhaust.
No, it has. Yep. Yeah. No, I had a 35th anniversary Mustang convertible.
Cool.
It was only about 1,300 of that specific color, which was silver with the double stripes down, black top. The seats were leather seats, but they were dual. Like there was black on the edge and silver down the middle. The dashboard 35th anniversaries. In the dashboard, I had 35th anniversary floor mats, the whole 35th anniversary package, which is what made it really valuable after I totaled it, which it was my daily driver.
Oh.
And I wept. I killed that car. Then I had an 06. And I rear-ended somebody, and that was the end of her because she had like 190 things. She was high mileage, and an 06, so that ended her. Now I have a 5-liter 2014 black on black convertible.
Okay, you are never driving my cars. I like you, but you're never getting behind the wheel of my car. I would trust my 15-year-old grandson behind the wheel before I would most likely ever trust you behind the wheel of my car.
Those accidents were, let me put it to you this way. The girl stopped short in front of me because the truck stopped short in front of her, and I slammed on my brakes and slid.
That happens.
And then the anniversary edition, I was at an intersection where there should have been a traffic light. After we called the police and the cops came out, the police even said this should not be a stop sign. This should be a traffic light because the road I was crossing was too fast. And I looked both ways and started out. And before I got across the street, there was another car.
Yeah.
Kabam. And it was another Mustang. I killed
two. You're breaking my heart here. I'm about ready to go in the corner. I'm about ready to go in the corner and weep. I'm a big car fan. Speaking of car fans, I was lucky enough to work for the super car collector of the century, Mr. Jay Leno, for about 4.5 years on the Tonight Show. Here's a little group shot over here. When I worked on the Jay Leno show in 2009, and then transferred over to the Tonight Show when NBC gave him the Tonight Show back in 2010, and then worked there until February of 2014. So that was all
right. Wait, Emily, don't go anywhere. I want those TV guide covers.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, if you notice the TV guide cover on the left is a George Reeves Superman TV guide cover, and the inscription on the autograph down below says, "To Wally, thanks for watching George Superman Reeves." Well, he was dead before I was even born. So I found that autograph at Profiles in History. I was cruising through the catalog to see if I was interested in bidding on anything, and I found that, and I said, well, that I've got to have. And then I got it at the auction. So then I knew Adam West for about 37 years, so I got his TV guide cover, and I found some paper that closely matched the color, and I said, Adam, I need you to write this verbatim. To Wally, thanks for watching Adam Batman West. And so
that's amazing.
And he wanted to know why I wanted that specific verbiage, and I showed him the George Reeves cover, and I said, I'm going to frame him side by side. So that's the thing there. So
that's absolutely amazing.
But yeah, it's something to work for a guy like Leno who has such passion about cars, and I love people with passion, regardless of if it's cars or Star Trek or bird watching or whatever. I love people with passion. And so I was talking to my grandkids. They're all kind of like me, and I when they get out here to see my house, I always thought that they're either going to think I'm the coolest guy they've ever met, or the most wackadoodle knucklehead psycho that they have ever met, and they're very scared and frightened. But I don't know, they're a lot like me, so I think they're probably going to be the former, not the latter, hopefully. So hopefully they like the house and understand everything that's going on here, even though they're not going to get any of the references here, because all the stuff that's I collected from my childhood and stuff that they don't really know about. But they should have fun, and they'll understand things like Iron Man and the Muppets and Pinocchio, that kind of stuff. So ask me any questions as we look around the main area here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that goes for everybody in the chats too. Feel free to ask questions. Where's the before we move off of Batman? Where were the costumes that I was drooling over? There we go.
Oh yeah, those are replica costumes made from the original patterns of the original costumes that we got a hold of several years ago. And we struck patterns from. If you have seen any of the original vintage costumes from the show, they didn't age very well. The materials that they used just didn't stand up under the hot lights very well, so they all aged fairly badly. But these costumes were made with all the latest, greatest fabrics, and that is a life mask of Adam West that was taken in, I believe, 1995 for a magazine shoot that he did for the Adam West Remembers 30 Years of Batman. So we made him a costume to wear in the centerfold of that magazine, and the Burt Ward likeness was done by a sculptor. It's not Burt Ward's life cast or anything, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's close. It's really close, and those eyes are very blue. But
yeah.
So
Well,
is any
they had to shoot through the mask is what I was aiming for. Otherwise, they just get lost behind the mask. So
yeah. Is anything in that staging, is anything from the show, or is it all just replicated?
actually, everything's replicated except the thing in the upper left-hand corner. See that thing that says Adam West?
Yep.
Right there? Yeah, that was his plaque that was screwed to his bicycle that he drove around the Culver Studios lot during the filming of Batman. All the stars had bicycles, so they wouldn't have to walk to the commissary to get lunch or anything. So they would just get on their bikes and they would drive around the lot on their bicycles. And that plaque was cut out of wood and hand painted by the prop department. And as soon as the show was canceled, a guy named Felix, who I met many years ago in Culver City, it was his job to go take off the name plaque and swap it out with a name plaque of some other celebrity that was on the lot who was now going to use that bike. So he said, well, this is Adam West. He's a big star. I'm going to keep this. So he kept that name plaque off of Adam's bike for many years, and then met me and realized I was a super fan. So he just kind of gave it to me. So good old Felix. So that's really the only thing, not screen used, but it was actually on the set back in the day. So
why no Batgirl?
there's a Batgirl cowl, but
Okay.
it's mostly because of no room. I don't know
Fair
where.
enough.
I don't know where I put her. I may have a well, that's a dirty joke. I don't know what your audience is, so I'll save that for later. But
That's okay. I've set this up on YouTube for no children.
So. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I have a version of Batgirl upstairs, but she's inflatable. But anyway, but seriously, so one thing I do want to show you, if Emily will come back down here and not tripping, but probably my favorite thing in the whole collection as almost a lifetime Andy Kaufman fan.
Do you want to make a talk?
Is this little gizmo here. Hello, here's Andy Kaufman. That's the very suit that he wore on the first episode of SNL.
Oh, wow.
When he did that act. And he wore it on virtually every other TV appearance he ever did. You'll see him in pictures down below and then off to the side of him actually wearing the suit. But yeah, that's his life mask taken by the Stan Winston Studios for the movie Heart Beeps. And if you'll see right over here, I have one of Andy's Heart Beeps costumes, his bow tie, the puppet head that was made by Stan Winston for one of the scenes in Heart Beeps. And then Andy behind there with the puppet used in that scene. That very head actually is what he's got his hands on. So
wow.
big lifetime Andy Kaufman fan. Last year at Monsterpalooza, we had a museum exhibit featuring Roger Moore's James Bond from The Man with the Golden Gun. So I had that sculpted by a friend of mine named Rubber Larry, who's one of the best celebrity likeness sculptors in the business. And the reason his fingers are missing is because if you saw the opening of The Man with the Golden Gun in 1974, you realize that Scaramanga, the villain, played by Christopher Lee, had a James Bond effigy in his funhouse that he would use as target practice and shot off his fingers. So we have it kind of screen accurate, and that Scaramanga went pow, 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 and shot off the fingers. So that's from the beginning of Man with the Golden Gun. My latest acquisition is this guy over here. My talking and breathing Darth Vader.
That's amazing.
Which is very fun. I actually wore that suit at Monsterpalooza last year for about an hour, and I said, "Okay, I'm done. I'm good. take it off." I used to do Darth Vader. What's that?
That's why I don't do cosplay. That's why I don't do cosplay, because I'm just like, I wouldn't last.
Well, I call myself the godfather of cosplay because I was doing it back in the 70s before anybody even coined the phrase. But I'm way too old to do it now. But I did Darth Vader all the time in South Dakota in basically a cardboard and vinyl suit that I had made up, and people thought it was great because it had blinking lights and everything on it. But this is the deluxe, version of that. So I said, well, I started off with a cardboard and vinyl costume and pretty cheesy Don Post helmet back in the day. But now that I have this, I've got to wear it just once, say I did it, and make it full circle. And now it went on a mannequin. So he's there for.
So
he's there for good. Okay.
You said Christopher Lee played the villain in the Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense that you put him next to Darth Vader, just because there's that Christopher Lee connection, because Christopher Lee in those prequels. So.
Well, there was a joke that we had in a pilot that we did many years ago where Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing were hanging out together, and it's called Horror Express. And one of the lines we said when they look at each other, we put in the line, you know Darth Vader? I know Darth Vader.
I've seen that. Oh, Dave better know this movie. That's one of the riff tracks.
Really? It's funny. Yeah.
Express.
Because they both obviously. Yeah, they both worked for Lucas. Yeah, so pretty funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Oh wait, Jean wants to know where you got the inflatable Batgirl.
I'll never tell. I'll never tell. It comes. I will tell you this: it comes in the Yvonne Craig or the Alicia Silverstone version. So take your pick.
Oh God, completely changing her origins pissed me off. I like Alicia Silverstone, but
yeah,
messing with her origins pissed me off so much.
Yeah, messing with all the origins kind of pisses me off, but that's a conversation for another day. So you see the stuff with the Elvis in concert jacket that belonged to his road manager Joe Esposito. There was an old show, a detective show called Mannix, and the plaid blazer up there belonged to Mike Connors. And if you look to the left there, you'll see him actually wearing it in one of the episodes in that picture. And the tall gentleman in the blue, that's Steve McGarrett, played by Jack Lord in the original Y50. That is Jack Lord's actual clothes. That's his jacket, pants, and his boots, and a likeness sculpted by, again, Rubber Larry. Off to the left, you see the robot Elvis, who's going to sing a little bit for us here. He'll say a few things, and you got to warm up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Let's get him to sing. Come on. I'm going to turn it up. We're going up. We're going down. We're going up. They want to roll. Yeah. He's actually wearing a real Elvis scarf that was passed out to some lady many years ago. And he's actually wearing a pair of Elvis's real sunglasses with the with the gold EP inlays and the TCB logo on the side.
We were talking about Ticonderoga earlier. Does James Crawley know you have that?
I don't think so. But I got something over on James. If Emily will pan down between Elvis's legs there, hello. You see my ticket. I saw Elvis June 22nd, 1977.
When I just worked here
in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I actually took that picture. So
oh my God,
that was 2 months before he died. So I've seen Elvis in person, and we locked eyes for a second. I was up at the front of the stage trying to get a scarf, and he was looking at me like, "Kid, what are you doing here, man?" I didn't have blue hair, and I wasn't an old lady, so he was a little confused as to what I was doing there. But anyway,
that's that's an amazing story. Yeah, I always thought it was cool, even if I didn't know it at the time, but to have occupied the planet at the same time as Elvis Presley.
Yeah, we'll never see the likes of him again. I saw that epic movie that came out twice in IMAX, and I was like shaking my head through the whole thing, going, "We will never ever see the likes of him again." And I'm glad that I got to share the planet at the same time. My mom was a huge Elvis fan ever since she was a little girl, and in '77, I knew that he was playing the concert in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I said, "Mom, I tell you what, I'll buy the ticket. I'll pay for the hotel room, but it's 200 miles away to Sioux Falls. You got to drive." And she said, "No, I said, your birthday. It's my gift to you for your birthday." She said, "No, I'll see him next year." And of course, there was no next year. He died 2 months later. I took a bus with a buddy of mine, and I said, "I'm not missing this. I'm going to go see Elvis." So we took a bus all the way to Sioux Falls, and we were 16-year-old kids in the big city, and we made it to the Sioux Falls Arena and saw a show, and the rest is history. I'll never, ever, ever forget it. So it's
that's
amazing. One of those things you just don't ever forget.
Yeah. So I love all of this, but we definitely need to talk Star Trek because technically this is a Star Trek podcast.
Oh, so it is. Well, we should go upstairs then.
Yes. I mean, I am loving. I could get lost in all of this. I am huge in everything that you have, but yeah, we definitely got to do Trek.
Then you will like this because I also am a fan. And
what are we starting over here?
Here's it. Yeah, well, it's I have the old Mego play set, and a lot of those figures in there I actually had as a kid. So I had those original Megos, like Uhura, McCoy, Kirk, Spock. All of those are my original toys. I did pick up.
Oh, wow.
I picked up the playset in about 2007 at a convention in Minneapolis. But yeah, I've always been a fan. As you can see, the over here to the right, I have a whole Star Trek area with a lot of the props and I'm totally in love with the Wand Company tricorder that they just came out with. It's just a feat of engineering that it's nothing like I've ever seen before. And the reason I still have a flip phone is due in large part to the Star Trek communicator, which is my favorite prop. This is the Wand Company communicator they came out with a while ago. That's an actual Bluetooth speaking device. You can actually
love those.
I love these. I bought two of them. One's on display and one, I use occasionally, but I keep it on the charger so it can be charged up. But I love the Wand Company's stuff. I ordered actually another tricorder just to keep in the box when they release them in November. But that one is utterly amazing with the discs that you can put in with the different things, and it's really fantastic. So speaking of Star Trek.
Jean noticed you have Viewmasters, which is very cool.
Check this out. This is the Cheney room.
Yep.
Let's see the Enterprise of it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the Master Replicas Enterprise that I bought many years ago, and the Captain Kirk and Spock are standing there. That's an actual Tribble from 1967.
Oh my God!
I knew somebody that worked for Roddenberry, and of course, after the filming wrapped on Trouble with Tribbles, it all came. All those Tribbles went back to the Roddenberry family because the story that I heard was they all chipped in over the weekend and just made Tribbles all weekend for the show, and then of course when they were done, they got them all back. So they would give them out to employees as gifts over the years. And I knew a guy who needed some money, and he had a tribble, and he had a signed book and a couple different things. So he sold it to me. So that is an actual tribble from 1967. And
Well, I mean,
what's that?
I was going to say there were a lot of tribbles to give out from that last scene where they all just fell out.
Yeah. And there was a couple of the seams on that tribble were splitting. So I took it to my professional seamstress and I said, Kathy, you gotta fix this. And she said, okay. And she opened up the seams to put all new thread on. So the other seams wouldn't break as well. And she said, you know how I know this is really from the 60s? And I said, how? She said, the stuffing that they used in those, they don't make anymore. They haven't made in like 20 years. So there were like little packets of stuffing, and they don't make little packets of stuffing. If it was a new tribble, they would have done like polyfill or one of the
Right.
some of this stuff that you see here. They would have put that in the tribble. That's what they. But the stuff that's in that tribble is definitely vintage stuffing. So that's how
It's
she knew
not
that it was
toxic, is it? Because you tend to find out that a lot of the reason back then they stopped using it is because it was toxic.
Yeah, I don't understand what's wrong with asbestos stuffing. It's asbestos-based stuffing in the tribble. Who cares? But yeah, so it could very well be toxic. We don't know. But if you see between Kirk and Spock up there, there's some junk on the floor. That's a picture of me in that tunic that the Shatner figure is wearing there, along with James Doohan, Nichelle, Walter, George, Leonard, and Bill. The only one missing was, of course, Dee, but that was at the Farewell James Doohan convention back in, I believe, 2004 or 5. But I had them all sign it, and it was a thing where you could pay $700 for the group photo, but if you wanted it signed, it was $1,250. And I said, "Screw it, I'm doing it." Because when is this ever going to happen again? So I got it, and the only one I didn't have sign it at the time was Leonard Nimoy because he left early, but the promoter was kind enough to let me go to Nimoy's house because he was contracted to sign a bunch of other stuff he didn't get to, and so he said, "Well, I'm going over to Leonard's to have him sign this other stuff. Bring your picture along, and you can see him." And I met Leonard back in 1980 in Sioux Falls when he was on the road with his one-man show called Vincent. And I interviewed him, and I was shocked at what a funny, amazing, personable guy he was. Because we see him as Spock, and we think he's all Mr. Serious, but he was actually kind of wacky, and it was pretty funny to see him behaving like that in an interview situation. So pretty fun. So
well, you got to figure anybody that sings a song about Bilbo Baggins has to have some sort of sense of humor.
Yeah. Singing a song about somebody with pointed ears. Yeah. Pretty funny. Oh, the cardboard pointed ears. So this is what actually started the whole Shatner and Nimoy thing that I wanted to do here, was finding the original William Shatner face cast upon which the Michael Myers Don Post mask was based. And once I found the Shatner face cast upon which this was based, then I said, well, let's make a Shatner. Let's do a Shatner figure. So then we found Nimoy's face cast that they took when he did his face cast for the Don Post masks. So I said, well, let's do a set, both Kirk and Spock. But the Michael Myers mask you see there is a 3D scan and print of an actual William Shatner Don Post mask circa 75.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you see little Mike down there, that's the original mask that I got that was the 1-to-1 replica from the Shatner mask. But I think the guy who did the copying didn't use the right materials, and it shrunk. So it's just like for the size of a kid. But we took all the hair off, 3D scanned that, enlarged it enough for a human male, and that's it right there. So yeah, it's my view is, if you're going to nerd out over something, spare no expense.
Absolutely.
But get her done. So here's one of the things I'm really proud of. I know that it's pretty, for your audience, probably pretty random, but if you look up there, see that red fez right there?
Yep.
There was a movie in 1932 called Sons of the Desert. starring Laurel and Hardy. And it was about them being basically the Shriners, and they're going to a convention in Chicago. That is one of the original fezzes from that movie. It wasn't Stan's or Ollie's, but it was one of the main upfront actors who wore that because it's embroidered. A lot of the background actors just had theirs kind of silk screened on. But since that's actually embroidered, I can tell that that's one of the main cast's fezzes. I have no idea who it belonged to, but that is almost 100 years old, that baby right there.
Oh my gosh, that's
and I'm a huge
amazing.
Laurel and Hardy fan. So
Now,
anyway.
from a nostalgia standpoint, for somebody, you and I are probably pretty close in age. The Halloween masks of Kirk and Spock that are above,
Right.
those are those Halloween masks, like circa like late 60s, early 70s, right?
Right. And I don't think that they were Don Post. I think they were done by a company called Collegeville. Collegeville was a competitor to Ben Cooper, which was the main mask company. You see Ben Cooper, Scarecrow of Romney Marsh here, if I can get out of the way, and Mickey Mouse and Barnabas Collins. Those were all Ben Coopers and Laurel and Hardy. But Collegeville was a close competitor to the Stan and Ollie really weirds me out because it's two faces in one, which is kind of brilliant, actually, if you think about it. Yeah. But the Collegeville was the competitor to the Ben Cooper. So if Ben Cooper didn't get the license to something, chances are Collegeville would. But they would do a lot of offshoot stuff. They did the Starsky and Hutch masks. Beretta, I think, was a Collegeville, but I'm not sure. But I think the Kirk and Spock 60s Halloween masks were actually Collegeville, but could be wrong.
I went as Wonder Woman in one of those with the really thin vinyl little like jumper that you stepped into.
Well, in my day, it wasn't vinyl; it was very flammable nylon.
Oh my god! Yeah, I think mine was like more plasticky.
Yeah, that was a construct of the 70s Ben Cooper costumes, but in the 60s they made them out of the kind of nylon fabric you see on the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh there. It's kind of like a nylon fabric, but extremely flammable. Talking about being toxic. Oh
my god! So like anybody that had a pumpkin lit up on their porch
with a candle in it, poof, up the kid went in flames. So they made them out of vinyl to, they would just melt, but these things would actually start on fire. But the artwork on these Ben Cooper costumes is so amazing. Like, it just says the Scarecrow, and it's all in kind of glittery, like black against orange, and it's really beautiful. Now, if you see the Mickey Mouse to the right, and then you pan up or tilt up, you'll see a picture of a kid in that same kind of costume. That's me at the age of about 4, because I had the Mickey. But see, I was already an actor because I said, "Oh no, Mickey wears white gloves. I got to get some white gloves." And my mom's like, "What?" So she went out and got me some church gloves because, hey, Mickey has white gloves on. So, but I found a costume exactly like it on eBay. I said, it's in great condition. It's the same kind of one I had when I was a kid. I gotta have it. And then I found the artwork for all the vintage candies, Milk Duds and Lucky Strike candy cigarettes and all that. So I printed those.
I remember candy cigarettes. You blow into them and the sugar would come out and make it look like. Yeah, so, I remember those.
Yeah, fun stuff. So anyway, any other questions?
So, Jean noticed you have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde picture somewhere in there. I didn't even see it.
Oh, if you turn around, is it that? Is it Lon Chaney?
Oh, that is very cool. I love. Okay, yeah, Lon Chaney.
Pan down, and there he is, right there, the man of 1,000 faces. That's why this is called the Chaney Room. And then let me light this up over here, and you can see that I have the Chaney garage kit made by the Janus Company. It was all painted up and everything when I bought it. I didn't paint that. And then you see a lot of the Chaney toys and stuff down here, stuff that Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame. But this second tier of the shelf right here, this belonged to an actor friend of both Emily's and mine called Leonard Stone. he was in a lot. He was a character actor in a lot of 60s, 70s, and almost 80s TV shows. Played a lot of different characters. You see his picture
Willy
over there.
Wonka.
What's that?
Willy Wonka's a
Willy Wonka, Lost in Space. Soylent Green. He was in virtually everything. That was his
Oh,
makeup.
Was he the spy guy in Willy Wonka?
No,
No.
he was Sam B with with Sam B. It's a guarantee from Miles City, Montana.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, he was one of the. Okay, he was one of the.
But he played Billis in South Pacific on Broadway for many, many years, and this is his original makeup kit that he
that's so
took
cool.
with him to Broadway every day to do the character. So he had this laying around. He said, "Wow, look at all these vintage makeups and pencils." He's like, "Yeah, you can have it if you want it." I'm like, "Okay." Well, after he passed away, his family's like, "Whatever happened to Dad's makeup kit?" He gave it to Wally. What? But he knew it was going to go on display, and I was going to share it with everybody. And I think he was such a man of a thousand faces, much like Chaney. I said, I got to acknowledge that. So,
right.
In case I ever want to do James Bond with all 5 fingers, I do have a spare Bond hand that I can switch out. So if we ever do want a full Roger Moore with all of his fingers, I have the hand there. So just in case.
Well, John wanted to say that he absolutely loves miniatures. I want to say Lon Chaney's amazing, but I'm more familiar with Lon Chaney Jr. And honestly, that's because I love Abbott and Costello. And
Right.
Lon Chaney Jr. did, with the whole Universal thing, he did the werewolf for the one Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Right. Which I love that
So.
movie. Love that movie.
Oh, me too. I heard it just had to do with something about the contracts and how Universal had the contracts for all the monsters, and there was something about the reason behind that movie. I think had something to do with like the contracts or something.
When the moon is full, I turn into a wolf. Yeah, you and 20 million other guys. What a great.
My absolute favorite Abbott and Costello movie is The Time of Their Lives, but
I got to see that. Yeah, there was a time when I was really into Abbott Costello, and then I kind of discovered Laurel and Hardy soon thereafter, and I said, "Oh, these guys were doing it first." So pretty funny. So there you go.
I discovered Abbott and Costello first, and to me, even though Laurel and Hardy started it, I still love Abbott and Costello better.
Oh, me too, absolutely.
Lasso's here. I am so excited. One of my really good friends, Magic Lasso, he says hi.
Hello.
But I am so glad, Lasso. I'm so glad you made it because there was something I absolutely wanted to talk to you about. And this is why I was like, I texted Lasso. I'm like, you gotta come. Lasso is the one that turned me on to the TV show Collector's Call, which is on MeTV,
right.
which they do. It's hosted by Lisa Wenchel, who most people know as Blair Warner. Welchel, thank you.
Yep.
Who most people know as Blair from Facts of Life.
Blair Warner,
and it's literally exactly what it sounds like. Every week, she goes and talks to collectors. She's had car collectors, monkey fans, Star Trek, and I believe at some point she had you on her show.
Yes, that was, I believe, 5th season, and it ran pretty late in the season, but it was fantastic. It was fun, and it was a long day, but I think we got some pretty good stuff. That's a great show, and it's a great crew, and she's wonderful. And there was some funny stories that happened that day where I was talking about seeing Elvis and saying that it was when I saw Elvis in concert. A lady told me to watch the curtain behind the stage because when it blows open, that's the sign that they've opened the big doors and Elvis's car has entered the building, right? So I said, and that's how you know that Elvis was in the building. And my robot said, Elvis has left the building. And we're all like, what? We were shocked. We thought the ghost of Elvis is in here somewhere. It's really funny. One of the things about collecting artifacts from people who are no longer with us is it's legend that some of the spirits that have passed on will sometimes be earthly bound to some of their belongings. And I've had several instances in this house to where it's like, okay, the ghost of Andy Kaufman is definitely here. Okay, the ghost of Frank Gorshin is definitely here. Okay, the ghost of, fill in the blank is definitely here, because I've got so many of these artifacts from these people who are no longer with us. But it's fun, and they're all welcome to hang out and come anytime. Here, by the way, if Emily would turn around, this is a great overview of the split level. I have a split level. This is the overview of the first level of Planet Wally. You see Super Grover there, and you can see Gonzo over in the corner there. If you're a Muppet fan, he's sitting on a stool that was used actually in the show Muppets Tonight. I just got that at an auction recently, the Henson auction. It's an optical illusion stool where the puppeteer can sit behind the three-legged stool, but because it has a mirror cleverly placed in the stool, it looks like the stool has four legs. Now, from this angle, the optical illusion doesn't work because it's not on the floor. But if the stool was on a floor with a generic background, it would reflect that floor, making it look like, you see what I mean? Like there's just nothing behind it other than a fourth leg. But, yeah, but the puppeteer is actually up behind the mirror working the puppet. So there's Gonzo up there sitting on the stool from the Henson auction.
So cool. Okay, so Lasso would love some behind the scenes about Collector's Call.
Okay. We're going to go visit the puppet room next, which is my guest room. And I said, that's the puppet room, before we film in there, that's Lisa's private room. So I roped that off just for her. It has a bathroom up there. She had her own bathroom. She could dress up there. She could lock the door, do whatever. But I said, this is Lisa's domain until we have to film up there. But so I'm designating that area for Lisa. So, but she was up there having a rest, and I was up. I had to go check my hair or something dumb, and she had the door open, and I just walked by, and I was like, oh my gosh, Lisa Welchel is on my bed. This is really kind of cool. Not for the reasons that I would necessarily want her to be there, but she's on my bed, and it's pretty great. And there she is. And she's just so delightful and just loved everything. And she's so into the whole, I don't think she collects, but I think she understands the collector mindset really well, which makes her the perfect choice for the host of that show. And we just had a great time. And I'll show you her signature. I had her sign my wall up there. And she said something about remember the ghost of Elvis. And that was going back to the story of when Elvis spoke up and said Elvis has left the building. So let's go up there right now, as a matter of fact, since we're talking about it. We'll go up the Isle of Art. The Isle of Art. So there's some good artwork up as we go up.
Let me explain real quick. The end of Collector's Call, there is always another collector that they invite in to value everybody's collection.
Correct.
And at the very end of the show, that person offers to trade something they have for something you have.
Right.
Now, did you accept the trade? And what did they want? Like, what was the trade that they offered you?
On the show, I did accept the trade.
Okay.
But remember, it's Hollywood. And are things in Hollywood sometimes real or not real? That's all I'll say about that.
It's all an illusion.
It's all an illusion. As Doug Henning used to say, it's an illusion. Here's Lisa Welch's autograph right down here. It says, Wally, wow, so much fun today. I'll never forget, Elvis has left the building. Thanks for all the joy. Above that, you'll see a signature right here of the late Sid Croft, who just passed away recently. Since this is the puppet room, I felt it was only
well, of course,
natural. And
now I've got the theme to HR Puffin stuff running in my head.
Right, exactly. And I've got people autographs on my wall all over the place. So it's
banana splits. Oh
yeah.
My God, there's
it started off with the Wally Wall of Fame in the Cheney room, and it kind of spread out to other areas. So, but yeah, this is the puppet room. A lot of step in here. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a Muppet performer more than anything in the world. So I made with my mom all of these replica Muppets. That's me back in like 1982. And I sent a a video that I had done with all these characters, and of course I was performing shows for kids at hospitals and shopping malls and whatever I could do to get experience. So I sent Henson Associates in New York a copy of my tape and photos, and I said, I really want to work for you guys. And they send me this, a cease and desist, telling me, don't ever take those puppets out of the house again or we're going to sue you. And I was like, I was only 21 years old at the time when I said, well, what do they mean they're going to sue me? I want to work for them. I don't want to compete with them. But they were going to sue me. And now you can do anything. You can make Muppets and sell them. Nobody cares. You can do Muppets on YouTube and make them really vulgar, and nobody cares, and nobody's going to sue anybody. So it's like, hey, I took a bullet for you guys. So it kind of it hurt my puppeteering ambitions there for quite a while. Here's a letter from Stan Lee when I sent him a birthday card back in, I believe, the early 70s. He sent me a nice letter. Here's the postal receipt for when I sent flowers to Andy Kaufman when he quote unquote broke his neck with Jerry Lawler, which was phony baloney, come to find out. And then appears a thank you note from the Graceland Elvis Presley estate for the flowers when Elvis passed away. So just
can she pan down a little bit to a light left? Is that a Scooby-Doo light switch?
It is. Yeah.
And it glows in the dark?
I don't know if it glows in the it seems like it would.
Mine did. I had that, and then I replaced it with a Wonder Woman.
Oh.
I had that one, and I had a Wonder Woman one.
Well, Wonder Woman is pretty awesome. If you look at the other side of the room, you'll see some of the puppets I made. And other random stuff. But the Wizard of Oz busts, I'm really proud of. My friend from another mother, he was my contractor, built a lot of this great stuff, and he got things that he was that Tin Man right there. I drew up the pattern out of cardboard, and she made the hat and everything. So yeah, Cherry was very clever in his abilities as a craftsman. So
those are gorgeous. Jean would like to know, do you have any puppets from Jerry Anderson's series, Supercar, Fireball X-15, Stingray, Thunderbirds?
Yep.
Oh, you guys froze.
Further up. You see that?
Yay! Yep.
There's
guys, we might have to leave the puppet room because you're freezing. I'm wondering if your signal's getting weaker. Wait, hold on. Okay. Well, this is what happens when you wander.
No.
When you wander around the house.
Okay, we're back downstairs, so we should have good signal now.
Yep. All right.
How's
Thank
that?
you guys. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yep. So Thunderbirds are a go. So Jean's very happy. The Super Marionette.
And they all talk. All those figures you just saw of the Thunderbirds, they all talk. They have little voice chips in them.
So earlier you mentioned Frank Gorshin, which combines Batman, Star Trek, and Wonder Woman, because he was in the Christmas episode of Wonder Woman. What Frank Gorshin do you have?
I have what Frank Gorshin. Oh, I have. If you pan down here, look at Commissioner Beale. I'll get out of the light there. See that pack of cigarettes there? Go left a little more. There you go. See that American Spirit pack of cigarettes?
Yep.
Yeah. That belonged to Frank Gorshin. He knew he had emphysema and he didn't have long to live, and he had 1/2 cigarette left. And he came over one night and he went out to have a smoke, and he smoked it, and he said, "Anybody have any cigarettes?" And we said, "No, Frank, we're all allergic. We don't smoke. Sorry." So he threw that American Spirit pack away because it was empty. And after he left, I said, "I'm going to save this." And when he passed away, I marked his birth date and death date on it. And it's maybe a little more,
wow.
but it's down there by the Commissioner Beale figure. Then I'd say, well, this is probably the only thing you have that belonged to Frank Gorshin. But there's another actor who was a friend of mine that had visited virtually all those worlds, and his name was Barry. Oh boy, now I'm blanking. From Jesus Christ Superstar. Barry played Pilate. Well, I told you I'm getting old. Anyway, Barry. So he was in Jesus Christ Superstar, but he saw Adam West, Burt Ward, Yvonne Craig, and Linda Carter, and Christopher Reeve all in their costumes. Barry Dennen. And I said, Barry, I want to download your brain because you've seen all of these actors. He was the scientist in, I think, like Superman 3, when the science lab was going up in flames. He was this only scientist remaining. So Superman flew in and got him out of there. But he was also in a Wonder Woman. He was,
Yeah.
He was also in a Wonder Woman episode where I believe he played Hitler. And he was Senor Fred in a 3rd season episode of Batman. So we saw Adam West, Burt Ward, and Yvonne Craig all in their costumes. So I'm like, you've seen all the greats in costume. You work with them. So
okay, watch this. That episode of Wonder Woman was Ausschloss 77. It was the 2nd episode of the New Adventures of Wonder Woman. It was the one that aired after the pilot.
Right.
After the second pilot. Yeah, it's like they crammed all of her World War II references into like the first couple of episodes of the 2nd season.
Right.
So the Hitler episode was the 2nd episode.
Yes, I think that was Barry as Hitler. Yep.
Okay, yeah, he rose and then got evaporated again.
Yeah. But
I remember the guy that didn't leave. He's like, I can't leave if this stuff gets above 100 and something degrees. Then there's going to be a plume of smoke, and Superman flies off and freezes a lake.
Yep.
So,
exactly. Yeah, that was Barry.
Believe it or not. Okay, yeah, and believe it or not, I actually do know Superman 3 pretty well.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. What was the other one?
See, Christopher Reeve. Speaking of Superman and Supergirl, a couple of signed things over there.
Oh my God, Christopher Reeve will always be my Superman. You can't. It doesn't get better than the original.
Can't top him.
No, original movies. I know that Joy. A lot of people consider. I've been rewatching on Heroes and Icons. I've been rewatching the old Superman shows. It doesn't age well.
I have a really good friend who's, I think, 81, and he loves George Reeves as Superman. And I can't say anything about George Reeves. I did not particularly care for him as Superman, but I get why people loved him as Superman. And I get why my friend loves him as Superman. But when Christopher Reeve hit the screen as Clark Kent and Superman,
blew it all away. Yep.
Oh my gosh, he's right out of the comic books. It was just right out.
Yes. He is literally the only, and I mean, I like Henry Cavill. He's like my second, but there will be no one that I think will ever portray Superman where you could really believe a pair of glasses could disguise him.
Right.
It's just the physicality that he put into the differences between Clark and Superman.
Correct. And when in Superman 2, when he was about ready to tell Lois who he really is, and they're in Niagara Falls. And he's like, oh, well, Lois, and he says, Lois?
Yep.
Even his voice dropped. He goes, well, I'm really having a good time. And the physicality between the two characters is so amazing. And in the comics, you don't see that. You go, how do people not know that's Superman? But when Christopher Reeve did it, you're like, oh, nobody would ever in a million years believe this nerd is actually Superman. It was brilliant. He was brilliant.
He burned his hand. Yep. He's like, let me see it. And then he looks at it and he tries to brush it off. And then he's like, Lois, I guess. All right. Now we got.
Right.
Okay. So Slack Twaddle, basically, she thinks that you also must have an amazing T-shirt collection. Is that true?
Um, kind of. I don't wear a lot of t-shirts. However, I do have a nice bowling shirt collection that I have custom made. When I go to do
Ooh.
conventions to sign autographs and stuff, I like to wear bowling shirts because they're kind of comfortable. I can wear a plain t-shirt underneath and then wear the bowling shirt over it. It's colorful, it attracts attention, they're comfortable. But I find random fabrics. Used to have a Joann's, now there are no Joann's anymore.
Right.
But anything from Muppets to Laurel and Hardy to whatever, to Elvis, and I'll take in my seamstress and say, "You've got the pattern for the bowling shirt. Here's the fabric for the contrast, because the bowling shirts all have that contrast,
Yep.
not solid, and then the pattern is here." I said, "Mayor, make me a bowling shirt out of this. Here's the buttons and everything." So I've probably got about 25 custom bowling shirts of different things. So not a lot of T-shirts, but a lot of different bowling shirts, and like this, like the jersey type of thing, I really like. And this actually has holes in it, so it's ventilated. So I love this. Found it at
Oh,
Universal
cool.
Studios. So anyway,
Lasso wants to know when he can move in.
after my new tenant Lisa Welchel moves out, I'll let him know he can move in.
Well, I mean, every museum needs a curator, so I mean, you need somebody to help you out.
Yeah, I love curating this weird collection. Lorraine Newman, if you're familiar with her, she was on the original Saturday Night Live as one of
Yes,
the.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
we worked on a voiceover project together, the Garfield show, and she was a character, and I was showing her on my tablet pictures of my collection and everything, and she's so funny. She said, "You're kind of like a metal Forey Ackerman." And I don't know if you know who Forey Ackerman is, but he had Famous Monsters magazine back in the day when I was
Okay.
getting into monsters, and he had a house similar to this where at floor to ceiling there was everything. And I said, I like that, a metal Forey Ackerman. I'm gonna start calling myself the metal Forey Ackerman. So yeah, I like stimulation. I like looking at stuff that makes me happy. I walk by other people's houses sometimes and they have their curtains open and I just kind of happen to glance in and it seems so boring. There's like a plant and a picture and a sofa. I'm like, you like to come home to this? I mean, how do you, but my brain needs constant stimulation and art and color and life. And I love, living in a museum. Not everybody, it's not for everybody, but I love it.
No.
And it's
No,
this,
I love yeah. So
there's nothing
if I
wrong.
had the means.
And Orderly Hoarder. That's the name of my new punk band, Orderly Hoarder.
Orderly hoarder,
So
orderly
yeah,
hoarder.
I'm a hoarder, but you can actually walk through the walkways here unobstructed. So it's kind of nice. But
Yeah, no, I love collecting. Even when I go to Star Trek conventions, there's just so much stuff. I'm like, yes, I want to take that home. Yes, and I'm like, if I had unlimited resources, I would definitely do what you do because
yeah,
I completely
I had
agree.
to kind of pick my moments where it was, do I really need that versus I want it, but do I really need it? And do I have a place for it?
Right.
Which is now becoming the main problem. I like to get new stuff, but then that means something's got to go. So if I get a new poster or a new piece of artwork, I got to take something down to make wall space available for whatever the new piece is. Which is why I've slowed down on getting new pieces. But when I look at a new piece that I want to get, I'm thinking in my mind, well, where is it going to go in the house? I don't just want to buy it to have it. It's got to have a place somewhere. So that's when I bought the Muppet stool. I said, well, I think I know where that's going, and I had a place for it picked out before I even bid on it. And then once I got it, I said, "All right, well, that's where it's going." So yeah, it's interesting. You either get a bigger house or you have to start swapping stuff out in order to make room for yourself. I was only ever into TOS. I wasn't. I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really bond with any of the other Star Trek shows. But the TOS was everything to me as a kid. I used to dress up as Captain Kirk as a 13-year-old kid. I made a communicator with my grandpa out of a speaker grill and a piece of block of wood. And my dad
Oh, wow.
always has a funny saying about Wally was the only kid I ever knew that was never bored. All the other kids are like, I'm bored. What do you, this is before tablets and
Right.
all of this stuff. I'm bored. Well, go outside and play. No, I'm bored. It's bored. He said, Wally never said I'm bored. He said, all he would have to do is nail a nail into a block of wood and talk to Mars, and he was happy. and
There
I
you
said, you're right. I would pound a nail into a block of wood and talk to Mars. That's all it took for me because we have imaginations. We didn't need all the other stuff. So it was.
So Jean says, give me a picnic chair or a case of beer and I'll just chill over at your place, Wally. Plenty of eye candy to keep me busy.
Well,
So.
I don't drink beer, but if you're up for an iced tea and possibly one of these delicious
Candy cigarettes,
Monte Cristo cigars, that's my vice. Yes. Then we can chill with an iced tea and a Monte Cristo.
I'll be over tomorrow.
Okay. I'll see you here.
Yeah. Wally, thank you so much for sharing your absolutely amazing collection. I know you've got stuff to do. I don't want to keep you, but I am going to tell you that once you leave, I've told this to everybody. I know you from that wonderful parody song, the Adam West song, which that's the first time I ever saw your name. And I couldn't find the 45. I have the 45 somewhere. I couldn't find it. I wanted to share it. If I find it, I'll take a picture of it and show everybody. But so somebody did a fantastic music video on YouTube of it.
I've seen those, and I love those, actually. I think one of the guys that did it, Greg Belfridge, is a friend of mine from Sioux Falls. And there's another guy that did one as well. But yeah, I love all this stuff. And it was really a thrill to see a guy who is actually a pretty good dancer and a singer. He did it at a nightclub as a nightclub act. He came out in a suit with a Batman cowl on and performed Adam West, but did a little dance to it. I thought, this is great. This is fantastic. So I'm glad to have participated in some small way. So, but yeah, thanks for buying a copy of the 45. Where'd you find it?
Creation. I'm going to say it was a Creation New York convention.
Funny. Yeah, I think we had 1,000 of those made up, pressed up at a record plant in about 1989, and then that was about it. A show that was on every night called A Current Affair with Maury Povich did a story about the Batman movie and Adam West and the whole thing. And they licensed that song for the story. And the money that they paid me as a licensing fee to use the song, I turned around and used to get the records pressed. Only 1,000 of them, I think, exist, and we sold them at conventions and stuff. So,
and I've got one of them.
Wow.
That's rarer than one of the Mustangs that we've had. So
correct, because the Mustangs are 1,300. These are only 1,000. And who knows? The records are probably a lot of those probably don't exist any longer. So I think I've got about
I'm sure
8 or 9 left out on that. Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing all of this. It was amazing. Next time I'm out in the LA area, which I'm hoping is soon because I do love it out there. I would love it if I could get a personal tour. That would be so cool.
Okay, and let's thank Emily for her strong arms.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing all the camera work, for introducing me to Wally in the first place, because this has been absolutely amazing. So thank you guys. Everybody is thrilled. Jean, Joel, they're all saying thank you for the tours. We really appreciate it. Guys, don't go anywhere. I'm not done, even though we're going to let Wally and Emily go and enjoy their evening out in LA. So thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you. Good to see you guys. Take care.
Good to see you guys. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, so it's just us. So I mentioned this earlier to you guys. This is going to be the last show of the season. Thank you, Dave. This is going to be the last show of the season because with my surgery on Wednesday, I just don't know how I'm going to be by Monday. I am a big wimp when it comes to pain, so there's a very good chance that I'm just not going to be feeling up to it. But like I said, before I go, I think the perfect way to close out the show is to share the video in case you guys didn't get a chance to see it. I want to share the Adam West video with you all because it is, like I said, this was my introduction to Wally, and it is fantastic. And he did this right around the time that the Michael Keaton first Michael Keaton movie. The first Michael Keaton movie came out in '89. So that's why he wrote this song, and it's fantastic. And just bear with me while I cue it up for y'all.
The Penguin and his 10 goons are plotting in a back room. Pow, crash, boom, bam. In leaps the Batman, making life safe again for all the Gotham citizens. He's so bitchin', he's so brave. It's back to the Batcave. He's got cool and savoir faire in his cape and cowl and his gray underwear. Who is the hero that we like best? Gotta be the Batman, gotta be Adam West. Adam West. I always cheer, I always squeal when he cries out
To the Batmobile.
Commissioner's on the bat phone, talking to the duo. Joker has escaped digging there just to learn. Gotta rev it up, emergency bat turn. Each bad guy, he always guess. How does he stay dry? He never sweats. Which antiperspirant does he like best? Gotta ask the Batman, gotta ask Adam West. Adam West. You can have your Mr. Spock, you can have your Superman, you can have your Ronald Reagan, you can be an Elvis fan. Sure, they're heroic, sure they astound, but they can't hold a candle to the baddest guy around. You see him at conventions, in shopping malls, meeting all his fans, he sure got guts. I call him the TV guide for Batman Fest. Tune in into Batman, tune in into Adam West. Adam West. Adam West. Adam West. I'll give myself a bath suit, then I'll be looking real cute. I'll somersault all over town, I'll find Catwoman, we'll get down. I'll build my arms, I'll pad my chest so I can look like Adam West. He'll be the hero of the nation for a zillion generations. He's got cool and savoir faire in his cape and cowl and his gray underwear. Who is the hero that we like best? Gotta be the Batman, gotta be Adam West. Adam West. He's wrestled giant clams, he's been almost barbecued, but he always gets away just when you thought he was screwed. He's beaten up the Joker, the Riddler, and the others, but now his greatest foes are the folks at Warner Brothers.
Will their big budget blockbuster be a bat bomb? Will Bat fans care that Batman is also Mr. Mom? Tune in tomorrow to learn the rest.
Cause I'll be watching Batman, Batman starring Adam West. Adam West. Adam West. Adam West.
Adam West.
Naturally, you didn't know I was wearing my special super thermal B long underwear.
Like I said, guys, that is what introduced me to Wally. And oops, it's moving. Don't move. Okay, there we go. That is how I was introduced to Wally Wingert, because that actually had airplay back when back in 80, I guess like 88, 89. That actually had some airplay. So that's how I was introduced to Wally, and then I started seeing his name pop up on Family Guy, and I thought, is that the same guy? And I looked up, and it was. And then, like I said, last year it wasn't it? It was fantastic. I looked it up on IMDb, and then last year at Long Island Trek, Emily and I were hanging out, and I don't even know how we got on the subject of Wally, but his name came up, and she mentioned that she knew him. She put me on the phone with him, and it was fantastic, and we had a great conversation, and I thought, and then I found out what a huge collector he was, and that he's a huge fan of TOS. So I just thought, how perfect would it be to have him on the show? And I'm really glad that he was able to do this. And like I said, I think it's perfect. It's a perfect way to end the season with such a fantastic interview. We may even have to do a part 2. I would love to see his cars. Next time we'll do it. Maybe I'll have to tape it so it'll be light out in Cali, but definitely want to do it when there's light out so we can check out his Mustang and his Starsky and Hutchmobile. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for hanging out. Such a great season. I know there were some bumps along the way, some shows I had to cancel, but like I said, when you're a one-woman show, sometimes stuff happens. Like not being able to close the season when I wanted to. But we're closing it out now. I am so glad you guys joined me. Don't forget, I'm going to be at STLV. I've got my booth. Can't wait. Can't wait. I learned my lesson. I'm not going to be, like surprising people doing surprise interviews anymore, but I probably will wander the floor to show everybody what's going on. But I can't wait for STLV. It is the highlight of my year every year, and I get to see all of my friends who I love, and of course the actors who I love. And it's going to be great this year because we're all going to be together to celebrate the 60th. So I cannot wait. And I try to update everybody, as I go through the summer. I'm not going to disappear. Sometimes they scare you about the owls. Oh, thank you, Jean. Trust me, it's not that I'm scared about the owls. It's just that I've had surgery on this ankle. This is going to be the 3rd surgery I've had on this ankle, and I am a wimp and a half when it comes to pain. So, I am very well prepared for it, but I just know how it's going to be, which is, like I said, which is why I've decided this is the season finale. I hope to see you all again in September, if not before. If you're coming to STLV, please look me up. I'm going to be in the same spot that I was the last 2 years, so I'm really excited about that too. And I'll have updates for that too. So guys, like Dave said, be well, be kind, and until we see each other again, please do not forget. Oh, thank you, Dave. Please do not forget to